Okay, let's dive deep into this stack on internal challenges. Specifically, dealing with those really persistent, kind of draining voices we often call toxic thoughts.
Mm.
And the sources kicked off with this powerful analogy, didn't they, about a poisonous snake. You wouldn't just let one crawl into your bed, right?
Exactly. We react instantly to that kind of physical danger, but somehow in our mental space, we let these toxic patterns just settle in, often without much resistance at all.
Yeah.
And what's crucial to grasp, is how sneaky they are. They feel so convincing, usually because they tap into old fears or insecurities, but the sources are really clear. They are distortions, not objective truths.
Distortions, okay.
Yeah, they're these automatic, intrusive ways of thinking. Things like all or nothing thinking, or always jumping to the worst case scenario. Psychologists call them cognitive biases sometimes.
That snake analogy really paints a picture, a pretty unsettling one. So the mission here for this deep dive, it seems, is understanding that the real danger isn't just that these thoughts arrive. It's our willingness to sort of accept them as fact.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the core issue.
But it feels so automatic, doesn't it? Like when a toxic thought hits, it just feels like, well, chaos inside.
Yeah.
So how does someone, in that state actually manage to speak truth out loud, like the sources suggest? How do you break that pattern?
Well, that leads us straight into our first key insight. It's about reclaiming your agency and doing it through vocalization. The sources really highlight this. The single most powerful immediate action you can take is literally speaking truth out loud, right there in the middle of the inner chaos.
Literally speaking it.
Yes, and there's actually a neurological basis for this. Saying something out loud, like a clear refusal of the distortion, it engages the prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain. It helps create some distance, cognitive distance from that immediate emotional, fear-driven response coming from the amygdala.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's not just like a mental trick. It's almost a physical intervention.
It really is.
So by actively naming the falsehood, saying, that's not true, and affirming what you know is real, maybe even simple things like, I am safe right now, you start to shift that internal power balance, like you starve the critical voice.
You absolutely do. You're taking away its dominance little by little. And over time, that critical, fearful voice gets weaker. And the voice of reason, your own truth, gets stronger, steadier. And if you connect that action to the bigger picture, well, the ultimate goal here is a really profound shift. It's about stopping being ruled by what you feel in the moment and starting to be guided more by what you know.
Know versus feel. Okay.
Exactly. Emotions are important signals, of course. They tell us about our needs, our values. But, and this is key from the sources, they are not always accurate reflections of reality.
Right. Feelings aren't always facts. That distinction changes everything, doesn't it? I remember one of the examples in the materials about someone with crippling stage fright. The feeling was pure terror. Like, I'm unprepared, I'm going to fail, I'm not worthy, just overwhelming. But the fact was, they'd rehearsed their presentation, 12 times? They knew the material inside out.
Precisely.
And understanding that difference between the feeling and the verifiable fact, that's what actually freed them up to perform well.
That's a perfect illustration. The feeling signaled, this is important, the stakes are high, but the facts confirmed you are competent, you are prepared. So for you listening, when those loud, destructive thoughts start yelling, you know the ones, telling you you're failing or you're just fundamentally not good enough, the necessary response, the first step is to pause. Just stop. Don't get swept away by the feeling.
Pause. Okay, don't just react.
Right. Then confront it. And crucially, label it for what it is.
Label it. So practically speaking, what does that confrontation actually sound like?
Okay, well, it might sound something like this. Instead of just accepting that inner voice screaming, I am a total failure because I made that one mistake, the response needs to be assertive. Something like, okay, hold on. That thought, that's a mental intrusion. That's catastrophizing.
Naming it.
Yes, it's an exaggeration based on one single event, and it is factually incorrect. The fact is, I also did X, Y, and Z successfully this week. That pause and that clear, specific labeling, that's the moment you step out of the automatic reaction and into deliberate awareness.
So pulling this all together, what's the big takeaway here? It seems like the simple, maybe liberating truth is that these negative thoughts, they can be incredibly persistent, really loud.
Oh, absolutely.
But their volume, how often they repeat, that doesn't actually make them accurate.
Not at all. Loud doesn't equal true. And that leads to the final thought we wanted to leave you with. What's really fascinating is that psychological freedom, it isn't really about eliminating all negative thoughts. That's probably impossible. It really begins the moment you stop treating every single intrusive thought as if it's a definitive, unquestionable fact.
Uh,
That shift allows you to start cultivating a mind that's led not primarily by fear, but by, well, by awareness and by verifiable truth.
If anxiety has ever kept you up at night, if you've ever felt like your mind just won't slow down, or that worry is running the show, you're not alone. That's exactly why we created Mind Cove. It's a science-based app designed by a psychologist with over 16 years of experience to help you understand, manage, and finally move past your anxiety one small step at a time. No fluff, no quick fixes, just practical tools, guided exercises, and a calm space to get your mind back on your side. Download Mind Cove today on the App Store and start building a life that feels lighter, clearer, and more in your control.